We're excited that for the first time in 60 years as a church, we are able to buy additional property. Isn't that awesome? We are able to expand beyond our current footprint, which is not something we've been able to do since 1965. We've been on the same 3 acres of property, and God has grown this congregation so much, and so we're excited. Here's just a few pictures that show some of the ways that we started as a church. Dressed very differently, right? Kind of the groundbreaking ceremony here on top of this hill, and this hill looked very different. Just the way, the church building, that's the original building, which we still have, the fellowship hall in the basement. That's kind of looking from the direction of Barnes Lake Road. Just what a great history we have as a church. And so it's so cool to continue building on that history as a church. We've been praying for decades for more property, for more opportunities. And for so long, we thought that just wasn't going to happen here on top of this hill. And so we started praying in the direction and thinking in the direction of relocation. Is that going to be possible? We looked at different buildings. And not maybe in a very serious way, but just, God, is this where you're leading us to? People have asked about satellite locations. Would we start a new location? What would that look like? We didn't know what that would look like, but we started praying in that direction. In fact, there's a team meeting for almost all of 2025 asking that question of God and praying and thinking of neighborhoods and looking at maybe struggling churches to come alongside and say, hey, how can we help this struggling church that's in one of our neighborhoods? We just didn't know where God wanted our zeal to be directed. We knew we had the zeal. We knew we were growing. We knew God was doing something among us, and we had to act in some way, but we didn't really have a very clear direction until a message was left on a voicemail that said, hey, we have some property that's right next to church. Would you be interested in buying it? To which we said, absolutely. And we called them back and we started talking, and the property that we're talking about is this yellow house right next to our driveway and an acre that house sits on. And so here's actually a map of it. You see in the orange is our current church property, and the yellow is the property that we have a verbal agreement and even a closing date, mid-March, to close on that property. So it comes with a house, a 2-bedroom house, and 1 acre of property. But you see it's a little bit of a weird property. It's a horseshoe shape around another house, which makes it weird. But it's also forcing us to keep an open hand with it. We know there's some great usage with this property. We know that parking is our number one pinch point and have been a difficulty for us for a long time. And so we know this is going to offer some parking opportunities for sure. Beyond that, we believe there's some other great possibilities, and we're still pleading God to give us a clear direction as we continue on in purchasing this. We believe it could be used for small group space, just for storage space. We think it could be used for possibly housing for a missionary or staff members. We're thinking about as we know, we're bringing on other staff members. We think it has some great potential use as a house and a space. Right now we're calling it the NCC house. We think there's some great things that could happen with it, not only there, but it also free up opportunities for this building. Because if we have space over there, we're able to use some of spaces here in the building in different ways. We could tear down some walls that we've wanted to tear down. We could rearrange some things that we've wanted to rearrange. And so we believe that this might be the opportunity for that. There's actually, with this possibility of an additional 8 acres. The same property owner has 8 acres, kind of catty corner to us, that goes up the hill and down to Hauntown Wendell Road. But because our usage of that would be different than any other usage of that property, it's hard to determine a value. And so on that property, we just haven't come to terms on that as we have with the house to be able to purchase it. And so we're still praying that might be a possibility for us. And again, pleading with God for a clear direction on that, because we want our zeal to be for His glory. And not for us to just go, wow, look at what we accomplished. Look at what we did. And so that's something great. But you'll notice in our vision statement, there was nothing about buying property. Because our vision and God's vision is much bigger than that. We believe land is never the mission. But sometimes land and property is a tool in the mission. And so we continue to be excited about the vision of discipleship and living out God's glory in that way. And we believe there's things that we can accomplish on the way and victories like land opportunities, but those continue to be a tool as we move forward.